Alright, well this guy, what if a is a perfect square? They give us something to complete the square. We're taking b squared still, but instead of dividing it by 2, we're dividing it by 4 times a. And if we add that, we'll make a perfect square. So we know that we take the middle term and divide it by, square it, right? And then divide by 4a. Here's an example, right? So what we were doing was taking half of this and squaring it. What they're doing is they're taking that and they're squaring it, and they're dividing it by 4 times a to find out what we add. Alright? So if we do this right here, so let's try this. Alright, we're going to come down here. Alright. And a is a perfect square, so we're going to try it. Remember, we're going to do b squared over 4a, and that's what we're going to add to make c in this case. So b squared is 6 squared, and 4 times a is 4 times 9. Well, 6 squared is 36, and you know what? 4 times 9 is 36, so we're going to add 1. So if we look at this, we've got 9x squared plus 6x plus 1 is equal to 11 plus 1. Alright, so that should factor. Square root of this is 3x, that sign. Square root of 1 is 1. It's equal to 11. Alright. We got 3x plus 1, if we take the square root, is positive negative 11. Alright, which gives us 3x plus 1 equals positive 11, or 3x plus 1 equals negative 11. From that, right, what we do is we subtract 1. So this gives us 3x minus 1 plus 11, or 3x minus 1 minus 11. And then we divide that whole thing by 3. So that gives us, right, the original one, negative 1 plus 11, negative 1 minus 11 divided by 3, and those are our answers. We subtracted 11 and divided by 3. Well, let's try one more. These aren't intuitive to anybody, right? So remember, let's write it up here. Our C, it's going to be important that you have this down. It's going to be b squared divided by 4a. All right. So our C here is going to be equal to 16 times 16, that's b squared, divided by 4 times 16. And I wrote it like this way because we can see those 16s cancel off, and C is just going to be 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by, or add 4 to both sides, plus 4 plus 4. Okay. And we've got 16x squared minus 16x plus 4 equals 9. This should factor, right? So it should factor into, let's see if it does. 4x minus 2. Alright, squared. That works. I can see it. Equals 9. Take square root of both sides, we get 4x minus 2 equals, if we take square root of this and this, positive negative 3. We set it up twice. 4x minus 2 equals 3. 4x minus 2 equals negative 3. Add 2, we get 4x equals 5. And 4x equals negative 1. Divide by 4. X equals 5/4. Circle it. X equals negative 1/4. So look, we got to do it again here. Here we go. Alright. I'm going to take this right here. We're going to do b squared, so 12 times 12 divided by 4a. That's going to be our 6. I did it this way again because we can see these reduced to 3 and 3, which tells us 9 equals c. So that's kind of a nice way to do it when you set them up and can reduce. So we add 9 on both sides. We get 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 equals 14. This factors into square root of that, 2x, middle sign plus, square root of 9 is 3 squared equals 14. This is kind of nice that, I mean, it's weird that you get a non-perfect square and you like it a little better, right? Because I can just say 2x minus 3 equals positive negative rad 14. Then I can add 3. And I get 2x equals 3 plus or minus rad 14. I divide by 2 and I'm done. X equals 3 plus or minus rad 14 over 2. Alright. There's a little bit more to go. You know what? Let's do it. So, what if you don't have a perfect square? Like this guy's not a perfect square. It says, when the leading coefficient is not a perfect square, the equation can be transformed by multiplying both sides by a value so that it becomes a perfect square. So look, this leading coefficient isn't a perfect square, but 4 is pretty close. So if I multiply by 2 on both sides, it's now a perfect square. And then I can take this square divided by 4 times that, which gives me 9, and I can add and do everything that we just did. So, let's do this again. We've got B here. We've got a few more problems. This is the tougher stuff, right? So here we go. Alright. So the coefficient of x squared is 3, and that is not a perfect square. But I could change it to 9 by multiplying both sides by 3. So if I multiply this side by 3 and this side by 3, this gives me 9x squared plus 4x equals 48. Now, if I think about it, b squared is 4, and then I got 4 times 9, right? Ooh, this is kind of an awkward one. So it's b squared divided by 4a, right, which gives me, what we got? Oh, that's 6. That's the problem. 3 times 2 is 6. So let me go back and show you that that's 6 squared instead of 4 squared. Alright? I didn't distribute correctly that time for some strange reason. Which gives me 6 times 6 over 4 times 9, which turns out to be 1. 36 divided by 36. Alright? So, what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 to both sides. So I'm going to take this 9x squared plus 6x plus 1. And on the other side, I'm going to go 48 plus 1, which gives me 49. Now, that's going to work out kind of nice. And these factor into the square root of 9, which is 3x, plus the square root of 4, which is 2. And then we can take square root. So 3x plus 2 equals positive or negative square root of 49. Alright. And which is going to give me 3x plus 2 equals positive 7. And 3x plus 2 equals negative 7. We subtract 2, we got 3x is 5. And 3x equals negative 9. We divide by 3, x equals 5/3. Circle it. And x equals, well, negative 9, so negative 3. Circle it. There we got 2 more. So here we go. So that's not a perfect square, but you know what is? The number 1. So if I go by 2 and 2, I've got x squared plus 6x plus 28. What's nice about this is I can just do it the other way now, right? I could say half of this squared, so I add 9 here and 9 here. And I got x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 37. They gave us a nice one. They gave us a as 1. So this factors into x plus 3 squared. This factors into nothing, 37. We take square root. We got x plus 3 equals positive or negative rad 37. Subtract 3, x equals negative 3 plus or minus rad 37. I understand this is going to be totally weird, but we'll get it. We want this to be a perfect square. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. And I've got 4x squared minus 4x equals 32. Let's figure out what c is. It's going to be the same as b squared, which is 4 times 4, over 4 times a, which is 4 times 4, which is 1. So I add 1 here and 1 here. And I get 4x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 33. Square root minus square root. So this factors into 2x minus 1 quantity squared equals 33. We take the square root, and I get 2x minus 1 equals positive or negative rad 33. We add 1. 2x equals 1 plus or minus rad 33, and we divide by 2. And I'm going to circle that because I'm running out of space. Alright, so that's the next 2 things, and they're a little bit hard, but that's okay. We're a little bit smart, so we can figure this stuff out. Alright, I'll be back.